All right, so we're gonna learn now a formula for the area of a rectangle. Let me imagine a rectangle like this. I know last time when I came in, I said area for you guys to learn what area is. I said literally count the squares, so we can literally count them. When there's not that many squares, we could do it. But what if I had too many? What if I had like 5,000 squares? Yeah, I don't want to be counting that many numbers. So instead, let me come back into the idea of area is how many squares we have. I can see that here I have 3 squares. Instead of counting by ones, I see there's 3 squares. I see here there's 3 more squares. And then here there's 3 more squares. And then 3 more and 3 more and even 3 more. And then I know I can just add them. So instead of counting by ones, I can count by threes, but I can even make it even easier. I notice that I'm adding the same number many times. I'm adding 3 6 times. When you guys were very young, a very, very young age, and I say that because my son, he's 4 years old, and I'm teaching him this. When you guys were a very young age, when you were doing repeated addition, when you're adding the same number many times, but you're adding the same number, in this case, I'm adding 3 6 times. That is the same thing as multiplication. When you're adding 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3, when you added 3 6 times, you can also see that as 3 times 6. So I'm just going to say there's 18 squares. Like I say, we can count them. We can count the squares. However, I'm going to try to see this as a formula. And I'm just going to say, well, technically, the 3 and the 6, I could have seen it from the beginning. There were 3 squares here. There were 6 squares this way. The measurement of my rectangle is 3 by 6. So I could have just multiplied those numbers to begin with. 3 times 6 gave me 18. And that's basically what we're going to be working with. When we have a rectangle, I'm just going to go base times length. Or some people call it length times width. Length tends to be the longer side and width is the short side. I'm just going to say I'm going to multiply the two measurements of my rectangle. 3 and 6, I'm just going to multiply 3 times 6. That simple. Like I said, I don't want to be counting. And like I said, we can make squares, but now imagine I had a big rectangle and then I had like 15 squares going one way and I had 200 squares the other way. Just imagine something like that. 15 squares going down and 200 squares going the other way. Yeah, I don't want to be counting. Instead, I'm just going to go 15 times 200. All right, that's way, way easier. And I'm going to say, well, there's 3,000 squares because I just went 15 times 200. See how much easier that is? I'm just going to go length times width. I'm going to multiply the two measurements that I have, and that's my result. So since we have formulas, we can use decimals. If you look in the kitchen in your home, that's where usually there's squares. Not all the squares are complete. There's pieces, but we still need to find the area. So I'm just gonna multiply here 5.2 because I see one measurement is 5.2. The other measurement is 2. Use a calculator if you need to. 5.2 times 2, that will give us 10.4. So the area of the shape like number 9, I just went 5.2 times 2, length times width. Now let's take a look at question number 10. I'm going to go 5.7 because I see one side is 5.7 times 1.5. 5.7 times 1.5, that gives me 8.55. Length times width. Length is the long side and width is the short side. Looking at question number 11. One side is 8. The length is 8. The width is 2. 8 times 2, that will give me 80. Now, question number 12. The long side is 10. The width is 9. 10 times 9. Use a calculator if you need to. So we're going to say the area of a rectangle, the long side being the length, the short side being the width. I'm going to say it's going to be length times width. And that's the formula for the area of a rectangle.